half a week now into Call of Duty World War II's full release. We have a ton of stuff on our plate. We've got a lot of cool things in Easter eggs, weapon guides, different things in multiplayer, zombies, and campaign, and pretty much anything that whatever you guys are looking for, there's content out there for you, and something that can keep you content for the time being across all three of those modes. Now, while we are just now finding out about the V2 rocket in multiplayer, we talked a little bit about that yesterday, and if you missed that video, it was kind of just the earlier discussion about this before it was all actually confirmed. It has been, and therefore now it is a 25 gun streak with no lethal streaks being added in on top of that, and you have to have every single one of your divisions at least a prestige 1. There's all kinds of gameplay like that, and while it seems like everybody is covering that, I figured, you know what, let's break away a little bit from that norm of today's videos in your sub boxes probably, and talk about something that you guys may very well be affected by personally. This being servers as well as the headquarters within Call of Duty World War II, because no doubt this is something that you've experienced because it's across the board. So essentially, in the shortest introductory manner that I can bring this topic up to you guys, it is something in which there's been intermittent server issues that will either kick players offline entirely, players will keep continually getting disconnected from servers and matches after a match will complete. I actually had one in which I got kicked out right as the match was ending, but it came up with not even just a server error. It basically said Call of Duty World War II is not available at this time, and I ended up losing 4 camo challenges I completed on my one sniper rifle, which I was kind of salty about that, but nonetheless, getting back on topic here. On top of all those multiplayer issues and zombie stuff as well too, we ended up seeing headquarters, one of the most prominent features here out of the marketing material and the promo for Call of Duty World War II, that had a massive curveball as there was really only one day in which everybody was able to get on, and that probably wasn't even a full day. So where we're supposed to be seeing headquarters full up to 46 players, I believe. I think that's the max. I only ever experienced it once because of these issues, but where you're supposed to be in this almost 50-player lobby to begin and basically just run around with everybody, 99% of the time now, unless you're in a party, you end up getting thrown in an empty headquarters all by yourself. So if you were to take a look at any sort of different social media, whether that be Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, wherever it may be, more so you're going to find more people complaining about this issue rather than explaining it. So while there is not necessarily any specific given reason clarified or 100% confirmed, there are a few different theories out there as to why these sort of things are happening. And in this video, we're gonna be breaking down those theories and taking a look at each individual part, seeing which is the most plausible, and maybe if we can come to a strict reasoning as to why these sorts of things will happen. So that said, let's talk about the theories first, and then we'll talk a little bit about what has been addressed specifically by Sledgehammer in a little bit. Now, the way that this comes down to the two major theories within the community as to why these sorts of things are happening, the server lag, and of course then the headquarters, not necessarily lag, but emptiness there within. The first big one is one that really just makes a lot of sense, especially when you give it a lot to compare to recent years. This year really comes down to launch numbers, and this is where this first theory then stems. Because this year was drastically much more successful of a launch, not necessarily in terms of in-game wise, as we've seen by the numerous problems that we've already seen across the board from day one, which will inevitably come to stabilize, and then we'll have a regular stream of regular content and everything like that, in which it's just right now the rockiness is still being ironed out. So that said, it will clarify itself in time, but the numbers of players could potentially be the ones impacting this. Now, it might sound weird to think about because we've seen a lot more people on a game at a certain time, whether that be across different game franchises or even here within the Call of Duty franchise, because Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, those classic games that a lot of people refer to, those ones really had astronomical numbers of players at launch. So therefore, these server end issues really shouldn't be something that is affecting all that many players, because this amount of players trying to get onto the servers all at once, that's something that's been stress tested for numerous years previously. Now, of course, we have seen a dip in player counts most recently in Infinite Warfare, but that's something that, while the turnaround was a great turnaround and from what I've seen, the PC version of COD World War II had a 375% increase of the players on launch compared to last year with Infinite Warfare. And no offense to the PC community, especially since I hardly play any console games anymore other than Call of Duty, but while the game was initially built on PC, it's now in the minority as of recent years, and PC is just a fraction of the community. So I can almost guarantee you that that 375% increase is probably a safe estimate of a 500% increase in players on console across Xbox One and PlayStation 4 from this year in World War II compared to last year with Infinite Warfare. However, once again, those sorts of increases should essentially be irrelevant compared to what we've already seen in stress testing for servers and the sheer amount of players in the past. Because once again, while this is a massive launch compared to recent years, it still isn't the biggest one in Call of Duty history. So therefore, the number of players shouldn't add all that much increased stress to cause major outages, to cause people not being able to connect to headquarters. So then that leads into what else it might possibly be. And this next theory is one that I personally buy into a little bit more, that being that headquarters itself is actually the problem. Now, I don't want this to come off as sounding like I'm totally going to bash headquarters, because I think it's an absolutely awesome feature. I just think right now it might be a little bit too much of something that caught Sledgehammer and the server side off guard. So the theory that the community has put together regarding this portion of this is that the headquarters is just simply too much to handle on a single server, or a server that we've already kind of used to process sheer player numbers. So when you take the stress of different maps and everything loading in through servers, the sheer connections and all that, everything that has to go through that we know of a Call of Duty multiplayer game as of last year, when you take that and add in probably the biggest experience and community innovation in the Call of Duty franchise, it's something that might just be too much for it to handle. While the headquarters is a direct conceptual pull from Destiny's The Tower, it's something that Destiny's Tower wasn't even this immersive, this immense of a process for a console and of course the server to end up handling. When you take a look at it, it's probably about half of the size of headquarters, or at least maybe a rough estimation. When you take a look at everything that is included in terms of different features, the amount of players, loading 46 players or so into headquarters, plus dozens of NPCs, background animations and assets, and if you just want to take a look at the ships in the distance, off in the sea just past the beach, and the trucks in the back, everything like that, all the animations going on, it's a lot of things to handle all at once, and it's something that, being brand new to the Call of Duty franchise, it might not have been the most optimized thing going in, and these sort of stress tests may have had a brand new feature thrown in on them that they weren't necessarily used to. So it's quite possible that that might have gotten a little bit misconstrued, or maybe not coming off as clear as possible, but simply put, that the headquarters is just too much of an added bonus of stress to the servers that they start to create these issues where they're kicking players out, where they're not letting people load into the full thing that they're supposed to, whatever it may be. That's the next common theory within the community. Now, it is something that we don't have a definitive answer as to if either of these are right, if one is right, if one is wrong, or if they're both completely wrong. We probably won't get much of a definitive answer at any point in time, but that said, Sledgehammer did in fact address this a little bit, to which we can kind of pick up pieces of both. In a blog post, Sledgehammer addressed the issue, saying, "At launch, we experienced an extremely high volume of players connecting to our servers in a very short window. This resulted in players experiencing mixed online connectivity across all platforms. In response, we pushed a change enabling higher capacity load balancers, resulting in improved live connectivity. In addition, we made HQ a solo experience and deactivated leaderboard updates in a short term. This has resulted in improved live connectivity and the best in-match experience for fans. The game is stable and network performance is strong across all platforms. If you experience any issues online, please reach out to Activision Assist for support. Headquarters will return to its fully populated shared experience shortly. In the meantime, you can invite your friends to join your HQ experience at any time. Also, rest assured, your leaderboard stats are being recorded and stored, and leaderboard data will be reflected soon." So while of course this kind of does address both sides of the issue, once again saying that a lot of people tried to log on in a short period of time, but also headquarters was something they could not do in its entirety, and they had to cut it down to a solo aspect, it kind of has both features here encompassed in it. So maybe both of these things are right, maybe both are wrong, maybe it's just something that gives a little bit of clarity as to some people having issues for things, but nonetheless, nonetheless, it is something that is being worked on, and I think that is what we can take away from this as being something that is nice. Of course, a lot of people are gonna say and be upset, which is totally fine if you feel that way. I totally get where it comes from, that $60 is $60, you paid for an experience, and at launch, it is something you were hoping for something a little bit better. Now that said, every single game has issues at launch for multiplayer, just because that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of how the games themselves work out. You can never actually test a game fully in development for millions of people unless you have millions of people playing it. So therefore, there's always gonna be those quirks that will be ironed out. So once again, in time, they will become a more stable gameplay experience. So therefore, I think in the long run, we'll see these sorts of things just fall to the back of our memory. And a few months from now, you might remember, hey, Call of Duty World War II didn't have the most smooth launch, but I can't remember exactly what I was feeling at that point. It'll be something where you know what happened, but in hindsight, it doesn't affect you all that much. So that said, that's what I just want to talk a little bit about with you guys, because those two theories that I saw were some that were definitely logical, that definitely could be plausible, and I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback here on this. So that said, that's when I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. Do you think it's something that it was just a massive server overload of players trying to get on all at one point in time? Do you think it's something in which headquarters being such a massive, immense addition to Call of Duty, this might be something that added extra stress, or maybe just a little bit too much for consoles and servers to handle all at once, or is it something else entirely? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Love to get your thoughts and feedback. So that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything we have here regarding Call of Duty World War II. We're gonna be killing it with the content here, continuing through World War II. If you guys don't want to miss any of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said, out of the way, hope you guys had a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.